I'm planning on doing my 28 books in 28 days challenge this February, but because it's a leap year, I'm going to be trying to read 29 books in 29 days. I know that's a crazy concept. No one could have seen that coming. I have to say I'm getting quite good at doing these challenges. The past couple of years I have managed to succeed in my reading challenge. There's been, I think, 1 year so far where I haven't quite made 28 books. I think I've read like 23 or something, which is still wild and really, really good progress, I think. So this year I'm back again. What I normally try to do in February is mood read as much as possible because I don't want to get into any reading slumps and I want to keep myself excited so that I don't burn out, because I will burn out in March. I just don't need that to happen in February. Disclaimer, I'm not going to get stressed out if I don't make it to 29 books, and I'm doing this for my own enjoyment and fun because I think it's funny. So that's my reasoning behind it. I'm not telling you guys you have to read 29 books in 29 days or anything of the sort. You do whatever you want. Read 1 book a month if you like. Despite the mood reading that I will definitely be doing, I'm going to hopefully be focusing on my TBR shelf. I doubt I'll be reading much fantasy because while I do want to get more into fantasy again this year, if I do pick one up, it's probably going to be quite a long book, and so it'll probably take me most of the month to read. For example, if I read Ruin of Kings or something, which is like that big, I'm not going to be able to finish that in a day. So that's going to be one of the ones that I carry over through multiple days, because the goal isn't necessarily to read 1 book a day, it's to read 29 books in total. So I could read 2 one day, none the other, for example. It's very flexible, really, apart from being a bit of a high number. I do have some library books here, but mainly I will be focusing on my own physical TBR because that's what I'm trying to reduce in 2024. So let's start with the 6 books that I have identified as being books that I would really like to read in February. I am recording this video a little bit early, so it depends whether my mood changes or not. If I actually end up reading these, we will see. It's just, these are ones that caught my eye right now, and they are ones that I've been meaning to read for a little while. So without further ado, let's get started. The first one I want to pick up is Weather Girl by Rachel Lynn Solomon. This is an adult romance book. The main character, Ari, is a meteorologist. In this one, there's some sort of conflict with the main character's boss, and I don't think the boss is doing a very good job of basically directing or running the department, I guess, or the TV channel, newsroom, I suppose you could say. And so the main character, Ari, and her co-worker try to put a plan in place to stop this workplace nonsense and to actually be able to do their jobs. So I'm looking forward to reading this one. I do want to try to read all of Rachel Lynn Solomon's books at some point, but I think I might split that video up because, if you don't know, I really like to do which author's book is best videos. I've only done, I think, 3 so far because they are a lot of work and I have to pick authors with not too many books, otherwise I can't do it. But that's basically a project where I read through their entire backlist, and then at the end of the video I end up ranking their books and give you recommendations. So Rachel Lynn Solomon has released quite a few books, but I think what I will do is I will split her project, or my project for her books, into YA and adult, because I feel like her YA books are very different to her adult romance books, so it just makes more sense to split it up. This is the first one that I really want to read in February. I also really want to pick up Nevermore, The Trials of Morrigan Crow. This is a middle grade book by Jessica Townsend. I've heard so many good things about this series, but I don't really know what it's about. Morrigan Crow is destined to die on her 11th birthday, but as the clock strikes midnight, she is whisked away by a remarkable man called Jupiter North and taken to the secret city of Nevermore. Mystery, magic, and protection are hers if she can only pass 4 impossible trials using an exceptional talent, which she doesn't have. I think this could be a really fun read. I've picked it because it's middle grade and also everyone seems to love it. I think fans of this series are still waiting on a sequel. I think there might be like 2 or 3 out. The series isn't finished yet, but it's been a while since the latest book was released, or another book was released. So I'm looking forward to reading this one. I'm not really in a rush to read it because of the whole sequel thing, but if there are other books out, then I can obviously, if I love this, I can pick those up and then slowly make my way through it and wait for the newest release. I also really want to pick up The Hunting Wives. This is an adult mystery thriller. It says here that Sophie has left behind big city Chicago to settle down with her husband and young son in a small Texas town. It seems like the perfect life, but Sophie soon becomes bored and restless. Then she meets Margot Banks, an alluring socialite who is part of an elite clique secretly known as the Hunting Wives. Something nest of vipers, body of a teenage girl is discovered in the woods where the Hunting Wives meet. Sophie finds herself in the middle of a murder investigation. This sounds so intriguing and I can't wait to pick it up. I've had my eye on this one for quite a while actually, but I don't really know why I haven't gotten around to it, other than I am slowly leaving my thriller zone this year and getting into a fantasy one, so that's why I guess this one should be really good. I've mentioned in a couple of videos that I would really like to get into more indie or self-published fantasy this year, partly because the community seems really welcoming and lovely and I really enjoy watching their videos, and also because I really want to support more self-published authors, because I'm sure there's a lot of good stuff out there that isn't getting the mainstream attention that traditionally published fantasy is. So I really want to kind of help that along, I suppose, and see what I'm missing out on. So the first one I've picked up is Wrath of Olympus. This one is basically some sort of fantasy historical story in which the Roman Empire never fell. The gods are alive and ships are real, and all of the covers in this series have really cool art design or cover design. It says here that Britannia is ruled by descendants of King Arthur and is on the brink of an industrial revolution. Young Maya is on the run. Something unseen has murdered her cruel mistress and she is being blamed. The city authorities and the Royal Navy are both desperate to find her, one investigating a killer, the other to recruit her, while the deadly legacy of a tragic past stalks her every step. Aided by Raven, an ancient blind mage with a terrible secret, and Milo, crown agent and spy, Maya must discover and overcome the fatal consequences of her birth. Meanwhile, the gods are making their moves and not all of them are friendly. I think this sounds really good, and this is the first in a series. I can't remember how many books are out so far. I'm thinking at least 3. I'm just really excited. I think this will be a really fun project and I hope to get into more and more indie fantasy in the coming year. I also really want to pick up Girls of Riyadh. This one is set obviously maybe in Saudi Arabia in Riyadh, and it says here that every week after Friday prayers, an email circulates among a group of subscribers to a vast online network. Over the course of a year, the realities of 4 university students from Riyadh's elite classes are revealed. Living in a society with strict cultural traditions while Sex in the City, dating and sneaking around behind their parents' backs consume their lives, these 4 young girls must face numerous social, romantic, professional and sexual tribulations. Girls of Riyadh presents a rare and unforgettable insight into the complicated lives of these young Saudi women, whose amazing stories are unfolding in a culture so very different from our own. I've not really heard anything about this as far as I'm aware, at least I can't remember anyone talking about it, so I'm going into this knowing nothing other than what's on the back of the book, so I hope it's good. Then the last one from my physical TBR pile, don't worry there are loads more, is Unnatural Causes, the life and many deaths of Britain's top forensic pathologist. And I'm actually listening to this one as an audiobook with my husband while we commute into the office because we're getting back into doing that now. And I think this is basically just this doctor's story about how he has performed many autopsies and is kind of like a detective in his own right, in that he's trying to figure out why these people died or how. And it says here that he talks about the bodies and the cases that have haunted him most, and also how to live a life steeped in death, because I'm sure it's very disturbing having to have that kind of career. So I'm looking forward to reading this one. I did start the first chapter a little while ago and I was very intrigued, so I'm looking forward to this and I think it'll be really good. And then I have a few library books. I actually want to post a library video. I don't know if I've posted it already. If I have, I will post it up at the top. It's basically, I want to talk about which books I've got checked out from the library, because I have a lot of them because I keep picking them up. But these are the ones that I really want to read in February in particular. So first of all, I have For Her Consideration. I did receive this one from NetGalley but didn't get around to it. This is about 2 famous women. It's set in Hollywood in any case, and it's a queer romance book. The main character in this one is also called Ari, so that's interesting. It looks like one of them is a scriptwriter and one is a young actress. They start to connect, I suppose, and I hope it's going to be good. It sounds good. I also really want to pick up The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. I don't know what this one is about other than witches, and it's had very good reviews so far, so I think this is going to be kind of charming and cozy, so that's why I'm looking forward to reading this one. I think it will be a really good palette cleanser if I decide to pick up any big fantasy books. And I also really want to pick up The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston. I really enjoyed The 7 Year Slip, and I've heard this one isn't as good, but I do think that I will be able to fly through it because I did that with the other book that I read by her. And this one is about an author, I believe, who falls in love with a ghost or something. I really like that her previous romance book had some sort of element of time travel and paranormal-esque stuff, so I think this will be the same. I think what I'm really missing from this pile is sci-fi, and I do have a whole sci-fi shelf over there, but I haven't put any on my immediate TBR because I'm not really sure what I'm going to be in the mood for. I think at the moment I'm kind of in the mood for some space horror, and I definitely have a couple of those, and then I'm also in the mood for like some space opera, planet discovery stuff. So I have a few options over there, but I haven't put any on my TBR just because I don't want to like overpromise and also overwhelm myself, and also because I am recording this TBR a little bit early. What if I'm in the mood to read it soon and then I post this video and then I've already read the book? I'm sure you guys wouldn't mind if I posted this and then included a book in my January wrap up, but that would annoy me. So I'm not going to do that. Another section of this video is graphic novels that I want to pick up, and I have been requesting a lot from the library, but the first two are actually ones I have on my own TBR. The first one being Lore Olympus. Actually, this one is on my red shelf because I have read it, but I really want to reread and then catch up again because I think I'm a few weeks behind on the webcomic, so it would make sense for me to do a full reread in February because I really love this series, and I have, I think, volumes 1 through to 4 or 5. I can't remember how many out, however many are published in print. So I can read all of those and then catch up again with the webcomic. And another one that I have on my TBR is Palestine by Jo Sacco. This is a collection of graphic novels basically talking about the occupation and war in Palestine. This, I believe, was published quite a few years ago. His author's note is from 2001, so I imagine these comics were published in the 90s. What I find very interesting is that he says here, I don't know how to pronounce one of these words, I'm sorry, but I will look it up. It says, this book is about the first intifada against the Israeli occupation, which was beginning to run out of steam at the time of my visit. As I write these words, a second is taking place. In short, Israeli occupation, all the consequences of the domination of one people by another, has not ceased. This will continue to happen until this central fact, Israeli occupation, is addressed as an issue of international law and basic human rights. And I find this very interesting that he's writing about this in 2001, and things have only escalated since. So yeah, I really want to read about what the situation was like in the 90s. I think it will be very educational, so I'm looking forward to reading this one, although I'm sure it's going to be infuriating. And then I picked up some more graphic novels from the library. Like I said, I've been requesting some and placing them on hold, and I will be picking up more because I really like reading graphic novels, but I hate buying them because they're so expensive. So the first one is The Tea Dragon Society. This one is the first, I think, in a trilogy, and it's very short, so I'm not going to read the back because I don't really want to know what it's about and then ruin the entire thing for me. But this is the first one, and then there's also Tapestry and something else, I can't remember, but this has won loads of awards. Everyone seems to love it, so I'm going to get the others from the library as well. I also have a book called Unearth, and this is volume 1. I don't know how many volumes are in this series, but this is about a flesh warping disease which ravages a remote village in Mexico. A scientific task force travels to the inhospitable area to investigate the contamination. As victims of the illness are transformed in horrible ways, the task force traces the source of the disease to a nearby cave system, where they discover a bizarre hostile ecosystem and a supernatural revelation from which they may never escape. I think this one sounds really interesting. I've never heard of it before. I just found this while I was browsing through some graphic novels at the library, and I really love the art style. It's very colourful. All sorts of different colours here. There's like greens and blues, some reds and greys as well. So I'm looking forward to reading that. And then another one that I found while I was just browsing is Luna, and again, this art style is so pretty. Teresa is a young woman who's plagued by prophetic dreams that lead to a fateful meeting with the family of the sun, a burgeoning cult whose leader claims to have met the divine. Secret blood rituals, powerful drugs, and sexual awakening will bring Teresa face to face with the truth about the family and the dark secret behind her dreams. So this seems like a sort of like fantasy cult sort of book, and I'm a bit hesitant because some of the artwork is I can't really show it to you. It's quite intense, but I'm interested in seeing how it goes. And I don't know if this is part of a series or if it's a standalone. And then another one that I really want to read is Our Little Secret. This is a graphic memoir, and this one does come with trigger warnings. It says that this book references and portrays difficult scenes, including childhood essay, and maybe triggering for some readers. So I think it's about her experiences. I think it's going to be a difficult read, but it's definitely something that I am interested in reading because I want to see what the author does with this graphic memoir. So those are all the physical books that I have on my pile. I do have a couple of NetGalley books, but not too many. I think the main ones you guys are probably interested in are A Tempest of Tea. This one is YA fantasy with vampires. A Fate Inked in Blood, no idea what it's about, but it's by Daniel L. Jensen. And also Red Sights by Meredith Mooring, which is a debut. So those are the three that I'm going to be focusing on, and I will be posting my new releases video at the end of the month once I've decided on which ones I want to read, because I'm trying to do that monthly this year. That's my new releases vlog, by the way. I also do a new releases sort of announcement video at the beginning of each month, so it'll be sort of sandwiched in. And then also I really want to read a bunch of Kristen Hanna books as well, because I want to do a part 2 to my Kristen Hanna project, but I might not get to all of those in February because some of them can be quite chunky and emotional, and I don't think I can read them that quickly. So The Women and the other books by Kristen Hanna that I have to read may have to be read in March, we'll see. So those are all of my reading plans for February. Wish me luck. I think I can do it. I feel like mood reading, like I said, is definitely the way to go, and I think that is going to be what pulls me through. My main thing is that I need to be really excited about my reading in February in order to read that many books. So I will check back in with you later on in the month with either my new releases video or maybe like a Friday reads or something to update you on how I'm doing. Let me know what you're reading in February, and thank you for watching. I'll speak to you all in the next one. Bye.